Murmillo. The Murmillo was no joke. He was of the most recognizable gladiators in the Roman Colosseum. He carried a large rectangular shield similar to that of a Roman legionary and fought with a short sword known as a gladius. His helmet was heavy and decorated with a crest shaped like a fish, which is where the name Murmillo likely comes from. Because of his heavy armor, he moved slowly but had strong protection. Murmillos were often matched against faster fighters such as the Thraex or the Hoplomachus, creating a clear contrast between strength and agility. Thraex. The Thraex, or Thracian gladiator, was inspired by warriors from the region of Thrace in southeastern Europe. Unlike the Murmillo, the Thraex carried a small shield and used a curved sword called a sica. This blade was designed to reach around an opponent's shield, making it especially dangerous. His armor included tall greaves that protected the legs and a decorated helmet with a tall crest. Because his equipment was lighter, the Thraex relied more on speed and clever movement during combat. Retiarius. The Retiarius was one of the most unusual gladiators in the arena because he fought without a helmet and carried very little armor. His main weapons were a net and a long trident. The strategy was simple but difficult to execute. Trap the opponent with the net and then strike with the trident while they struggled to escape. He also carried a dagger as a backup weapon. The Retiarius depended heavily on agility and timing, often facing heavily armored opponents like the Secutor. The Secutor was designed specifically to fight the Retiarius. His equipment closely resembled that of the Murmillo, but his helmet was smooth and rounded with very small eye holes. This design prevented the Retiarius net from catching onto it. The Secutor carried a large shield and a short sword, relying on steady pressure and close combat. Battles between the Secutor and the Retiarius became some of the most famous matchups in the Roman arena. Hoplomachus. The Hoplomachus was modeled after Greek hoplite soldiers, which is reflected in his equipment and fighting style. He carried a small round shield and fought primarily with a spear, though he also had a short sword for close combat. His armor included greaves for leg protection and a detailed helmet with a crest. The Hoplomachus focused on controlled distance, using the spear to keep opponents away before closing in when the opportunity appeared. Dimachus. The Dimachus was a gladiator who fought with two swords at the same time. The name itself means two-knife fighter. Unlike many other gladiators, he carried little to no shield, which forced him to rely on constant movement and aggressive attacks. Fighting with two blades allowed him to strike quickly from different angles, but it also required a high level of skill and coordination. Provocator. The Provocator was one of the few gladiators who wore a chest plate, giving him extra protection during battle. His equipment included a large shield and a short sword, making him similar in some ways to Roman soldiers. However, provocators typically fought other provocators rather than different types of gladiators. Their battles were more evenly matched, focusing on skill rather than dramatic contrast in equipment. Esidarius. The Esidarius fought from a chariot, which made him very different from most gladiators in the arena. The style was inspired by Celtic warriors who used chariots in battle. During combat, the Esidarius would ride into the arena on the chariot and sometimes jump down to fight on foot. This combination of mobility and close combat made the spectacle more dynamic for the audience. Bestiarius. The Bestiarius was a fighter who battled wild animals instead of other gladiators. These animals could include lions, bears, leopards, or bulls. Some bestiari were trained specialists, while others were criminals forced into the arena as punishment. Their role added danger and unpredictability to the games, since fighting animals required a completely different set of skills compared to fighting human opponents. Subscribe and comment your suggestions, and I will implement them from the next video.